So Sherman can give a little bit of presentation related to the project, where it is, a little bit about that. Thomas from the University of Kansas, we have an economic impact report to share a little bit of information with you. And then we do have other people here, but we could probably open up to if you have any questions.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just so you're aware, these are questions I took notes at the open forum meetings that we have here. So they're questions that I'd like to ask.
Great.
Okay.
You get to get up close.
Are you able to put it on? Are we?
Well, we had, we can hook up the computer to it. Sure.
And also, is it okay that, I know everybody has 5 minutes, but let's say you guys had a question that isn't directly to me, but
Could you hold this for a second? Just hold. It's on. We're live streaming, so just hold it wherever. Thank you for coming.
I guess is it okay if I stand?
Sure.
However you're coming. So Mark is the chair, so.
Yeah, you're coming.
Okay,
That's
thank
fine.
you. Good evening, guys, or excuse me, good morning, guys. It's already. My name is Sherman Burnett. I'm the lead developer for Jeffrey Solar. As outlined, this is Thomas Becker from Kansas University's Social and Economic Impact. Alan Anderson. We also have a couple of guys in the back. Joe Talavera.
Go sit in my chair if you want.
And we also have Brandon Smith from we're here to give one an update, two an opportunity to give questions. Hopefully we can answer all of them, if not, answer. And number three, just to say like, hey, we want to work with you guys. Understand that it's still in the planning zone where the ordinances are, which is cool. I want to be able to at least give some information. First, as you guys didn't know, NextEra Energy Resources. We're the largest energy generator of wind and sun in the country. We have a very strong presence in Kansas. 2,700 megawatts is currently being generated. We can't see the screen. Okay. 2,700 megawatts of energy generated into the state. We have invested nearly $5 billion into Kansas already for over 2 decades, and currently we have 12 wind projects in operation all through the state, but we have a few in development as well. Next, we'll talk about the project a little more. We want to give a quick background. So this is currently the outline of Jeffrey Solar. It's supposed to be a 500, we're proposing a 500 megawatt solar energy project. Currently right now, we're proposing to start construction winter 27, which will all be beginning of 28, and we're planning to connect to the Jeffrey Energy Service. The context, we are also asking for 5,000 acres as an acreage cap. This would all be encompassed into here. Came back. We say as even though this layer may be bigger than what you guys expect, there may be lots of exclusions, there may be lots of areas where we can't build due to landowners. Maybe they don't want it a certain way, or maybe there's certain trees in the way. There's not environmental impacts here for the council. So we're proposing that. Here are a couple of community engagement things that we've done ever since last year. Again, I know I've been newer this year, so forgive me guys. I've been a part of the last two, which is the planning commission hearings, 1 and 2 on the 25th and the 2nd. Some other things we've done is some public informational sessions and mayors quite a few times. We also made a donation for the Dealey baseball team. And we also had a community dinner in Dealey as well. But understand we need a bigger impact into the whole country. that could be, next, Thomas can talk a little bit more about the economic impacts.
So, yeah, my name is Thomas Becker from the Institute for Policy and Social Research at the University of Kansas. My co-authors and I found that the project over both construction and operations will create about 3,200 job years, which is one job held for 1 year, and about $153 million in labor income, which is all forms of employee compensation, as well as about $491 million in value added to the area. Mind you, most of this is the Jackson County included, Potawatomi County, because a portion of the tie line goes in there. Next slide. On the tax side, we found that there will be about a $136 million increase in local taxes, the vast majority of which is from contribution payments and then property tax payments made by NextEra. But there will be about $5 million in other local taxes from increased economic activity associated with the project.
Next, we have the environmental data. We'll just share it on the
Hi, my name is Nathan Smith. I live just next door in Colorado. The environmental manager at the Center of Teaching. We start off by, we don't just go into the site, we just go wherever we want. We do extensive due diligence surveys, meet with base local, state, federal agencies where needed. We always call it the ABCs, the environmental, so, aquatic, really big wetlands, streams, floodplains, anywhere, anything that's protected, waters, stay away from those. Biological, we'll get all the wildlife, location, native intact prairie, we're big concerned about that. And also do the cultural resource surveys that are required and make sure that we're staying away from anything sensitive. Also, we call it human environment, so it's a layer, making sure that we check our boxes across the board. So,
And then next we have engineering. Talk a little bit.
My name is JCK Citizen. I'm the engineering project manager for Jeffrey's Wood. This morning I wanted to give you guys a summary of how solar works in a nutshell. So essentially throughout the day, the solar panels will follow the sun and store its electrons in the form of DC power. It will then move to the inverters, which converts it to AC power. And from all our inverters, it goes into our project substation and then onto the grid for consumers. That'll have that.
In saying all that, we'd love to work with you guys in the planning and zoning. Understand again that the ordinances are with planning and zoning, but just wanted to share information of a few things that we know for our project will be challenging. For one would be the 2,000 acres cap that's currently proposed in there. Right now, if it was at 2,000 acres, it wouldn't be economically feasible for us, as there is a 7-mile jet line that we're proposing, that if it was anything less than 500 megawatts, wouldn't work out. Also, including with this 500 megawatts, that would also be the one that goes back to the local counties. If that gets shrunk in, that will also shrink as well. Just doesn't make sense economically for us. Last thing is the 2 setbacks from non-participating residents and non-participating property lines. They're not based on science and engineering, and this would really shake up. For example, if we have our 5,000 acre bridge, we have to put a lot more spacing into there, which would really not get 500 megawatts, which would effectively not make it. Again, I know it's not with you guys today, but I wanted to share that with you guys, just to let you know. But I know you have questions, maybe you have questions, wanted to open it up to one, hopefully answer questions, and to at least begin the communications with you guys and with planning and zoning, so we can hopefully get it. And that's all.
Good. Okay. So I'm gonna start it, get this on.
Okay, can you guys back hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I sat in on both of the meetings up here with zoning and planning, listened a lot of folks' conversation, their concerns. You know, so I'm gonna give you three figures. $600, $6,000, and $700,000. Those stick with me. And $600 for porta potties for a project up here in Nemaha County. The gentleman who owns a business here in Jackson County called me and said he's never gotten his final payment. He supplied porta potties for that project. $6,000. The lady who, Ellen Cook, who stood up and spoke. $6,000 for a fence. It was $6,000 and some change. $600 and some change. And $700,000 and some change. That's what Jackson County, when I became commissioner, the project was at the end of its life. We were required to provide information for NextEra for damages to our road, or just the use of the road. So we had documentation prior to, we had an independent engineering firm, I don't remember which one, came in, gave us their numbers, and said, this is what it's going to cost to bring it back to where it should have been. With that one, it took us over a year to get payment. We had to threaten to sue just to get that money. And every time our attorney would reach out to his connection or his contact person, it would change. I've never forgotten that. That bothers me. The $6,000. You're a large company. I would envision that, in the $600, that having somebody on the ground here would just be common sense for me. I don't run a big company, but having somebody on the ground here that can go, I'm gonna take care of that. I don't need to call anybody. I got you covered. I'll have you check within a day or whatever that looks like. That hasn't happened. So I've asked myself, bounced around from place to place. He's frustrated. It's only $600. It's not going to make or break him, but it did kick him off. And I would envision that if a project in this county were to go, he wouldn't be interested in doing business. Probably not a big deal to you guys, but it speaks to me. It's not that big of a deal to have somebody on the ground that can make that. So as I chewed on these things, and I have, I've talked to a couple people around the community. Why? Why would you not have somebody who can make those simple decisions and get people taken care of in those situations? Says to me, a friend of mine said, it's because nobody cares. And if nobody cares, that concerns me. And so, maybe just speak to that a little bit, but that's my first concern. So I'll stop.
Is that okay? You want me to?
Yeah, I would prefer that you use that way the folks in back can hear. Yeah, you can work towards it.
To your first point, or excuse me, the last point that you brought up. Again, I'm sorry that I'm newer to the area, but I like to say that I'm going to be that person to contact, and I can give an example. I don't want to say the landowner's name, but if you like to disclose his name later date after I talk to him more than one. But he's in Delia, and the first thing when I met him about a month ago, he told me that he didn't receive any payment as he's a part of the project. The first thing I did was reach out and got his payment taken care of. So specifically talking to what you're saying, I will be that person to come. If you guys have questions, maybe I can't answer it immediately, maybe I can't give you the answer that you like fast, but I can at least be the person to contact and come to as. But again, I apologize for everything that's done in the past or different projects. I just got here, but
Yeah, I know against you.
no.
And I can speak a little more directly to those situations, because in fact, if you go back to that first slide, the 11 operating projects in the state, It's all the things that aren't on that list. So that is what happens. There is someone locally that can take care of it, and it happens on a daily basis, constantly, dealing with things. And I'll talk to these three things specifically. I don't know anything about the porta potty one, so I can't speak to. I can tell you a lot about the other two. But I can give you county commissioners in these other places that are great, and they do take care of those things, and then they continue to be great at the community on that. And I wish I didn't have to talk about the 6,000 one over and over, but it comes from someone who, it's not even the person who Spence were talking about, it's someone else who holds it up. In both those, in that county, what we had as a process, if someone thought there was something wrong, they would file an official, complaint into the county and the company. That was part of the process, and it would get investigated. So the first thing, same two people said, oh, I think the sound's too high. Had to bring in, brought in a whole team to do post-construction, monitored, tested, absolutely met exactly what we anticipated. So then what we do is we say, here's the results of that, we're going to now consider it closed. Then we came back, this fence one was part of that, brought forward and said, hey, we think this fence is an issue. It was investigated, it does, I've seen the pictures, just not from the company. So unfortunately, keep holding up the pictures, said these people did this to the fence, that's not what the investigation showed. So we're happy to, you can imagine all the different things that were paid along that project where everything went smooth, no one calls you and says, we tell you about this. That one keeps getting brought up, and that's the story. It was looked into, and so, happy to pay anyone where something like that happened. Any kind of thing we do in the world, whether you're doing a construction project here in the county, we're with humans, things may go wrong. The thing that's different here is when we talk about these 11 projects, the first project was in 2001, so we're kind of coming up on 25 years of operating. When something happens, we take care of it. I'm not going to say there won't be bumps in the road, but some things do. At the end of the processing on the roads from the Gentile line that came from the project next door, there was a disagreement as to what the number should be. So that did take a while to go through, and the engineers kind of did their thing. It probably did take longer than it should have. If I recall, you correct me if I go astray, but at the end of the day, we paid the full amount, even though I think the engineers said, I don't think that's the right number, but hey, let's just move past this, we don't want to leave with our feelings.
Yeah, I guess I'll disagree with you a little bit because it did take, it was frustrating every time we sent documentation, we paid our attorney to do this. Yeah. It was, we got a new guy, or we got a new guy, and we had to chase it. To me, somebody come in and sit down in that chair and go, okay, let's work through this. Big difference, big difference. Yeah. So.
No, I think that was part. There was change over there, so that's why I'm fully acknowledging that. At the end of the day, again, with 25 years, I'm not going to say everything's gone as quickly as it should, sometimes you have changeover, but when you look at the whole decades of history, and go to these different counties, the overall arc of that story is absolutely take care of those counties. And again, fully acknowledging that did take a while.
Okay, next question. Can you provide any of these slides to the document in a printed form for us at some point?
Yeah.
Do you have the ability to do that? At least me as a commissioner and probably you want like a, sure, I'd like some of those numbers just to see what those are in
We
documents.
can update files and some.
All right. So, had a conversation with a gentleman who I respect. We don't always agree, but he's very civil in his conversation with me. He gave me some numbers. One of the things that I question is why we're not having a conversation or we're not willing to pay non-participating landowners for if their property goes down in value because of a facility like this. And I know that you all have said that just doesn't happen. He gave me some information. I've looked at that.